Won't you take me back to Tennessee?
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest info about hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. This episode is brought to you by GSM Outdoors, whose vision is to preserve the sportsman's legacy, fuel innovation, and enable the next generation of outdoor enthusiasts. Think outside. That's where you'll find us. Now, make welcome your host, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. We're glad you're tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We got a really fun show lined up for you today. It's a little bit of music, a little bit of fishing. And you're going to want to stick around because we have a hit songwriter with us today.
Yes, some live playing here this morning.
Yeah, we're going to hear a few tunes, talk a little music, talk a little fishing, and it's going to be fun. But Mr. Don King is helping me co-host, and he's got a radio station?
Yeah, sure do. WJSQ, right there in Athens, down the road from your home stomping grounds there, Jason.
Definitely.
Country station. I thought it's only fitting we do a country station this morning, but we own 6 a.m. there at that station, pretty much, because they play the full show on Saturday mornings at 6 a.m. and every other morning, Monday through Friday, you'll hear the extras. So
okay, awesome.
We're all over that one.
Yeah, so if you want to hear Wildcast on that station, tune in at 6 a.m. Right?
101.7 right there in Athens, Tennessee.
Awesome. Yeah, we appreciate our radio partners, and we appreciate you guys out there watching and listening. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and come back for more each week. So this week we got Leslie Satcher with us. She's a singer-songwriter from Nashville now, lives in Nashville, but a native from Texas, and I'm excited to dive in and learn more about you today. And we have a mutual friend through Woody Bomar. You worked with him for a while.
Many years.
Woody's in our band.
We call him the Music Row mogul guitar player in our band.
He is a mogul. He's a mogul.
Yeah, but recently you met our director, and he said you should have her on the show. So thanks to Director Jason Maxedon
he
for
didn't
recommending.
have to twist our arm too hard either. We thought, man, this is right down our alley.
He's a great guy.
This is great.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this business and moved to Nashville.
Well, I came to Tennessee in late '88. I wanted to be a country music singer, country music star, just like everybody else. And I've gotten my chance to have a record deal and publishing deals and all that. Took a couple years, took about 2-3 years to get started. Good, but I started at church the first day, and they sat me down right next to Naomi Judd, and I didn't even know her, and she didn't know me. But bless her heart, she and her husband Larry Strickland kind of took me under their wings and helped me. That just was my beginning into the path of the music business.
Nice.
And
hey, it pays to go to church.
It's good to go to church. It's good to go to church, and it was the only seat open, so I think that was a God thing.
Awesome. Yeah,
but they helped me get started, and it was it went pretty good for me really quickly. Thank the Lord.
Yeah. That's awesome. So did you grow up, start playing at a young age?
My dad was a gospel music singer back in Texas, and my mom and dad grew up with Dwayne Allen from the Oak Ridge Boys. He's from our part of Texas as well, close to Paris, Texas, where I'm from. And so my dad's gospel group opened for the Oaks on the road for many years, and then when they went into country music, my dad stayed in gospel music, and so we grew up singing in church and high school, plays and all that stuff. And I went to college. I went to Texas A&M first to be an architect. I don't know why, but I was so scared I couldn't make it here, so I did what all my friends did. But Texas A&M was really only fun for dancing because I was not good at the architecture school, and there was no music there. So I quickly came home and rerouted to Nashville.
Awesome.
It was a blessing.
Well, I know that step of faith there to make the trip at age, you were 26 when you moved to Nashville, and it's a territory unknown, I guess, and
So we didn't even have GPS or anything, Jason. I had a folding map. Literally from my hometown, you just get up on 30, 35, or 30, whichever one it is, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And you just head till you hit 40, and you take one turn, and then you head till you hit Memphis, then you head to hit it's 2 turns.
Yeah, right.
It was like, okay, here we go. So
there we go.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, you've had a great career, and we're going to dive into a lot of that today, but you've written songs co-written or written songs for Willie Nelson, Ariana Grande, Vince Gill, Sheryl Crow, Reba McEntire, Martina McBride, Gretchen Wilson, Keb Mo.
I got to hear the Keb Mo story.
Yeah, that's cool. Blake Shelton, Randy Travis, Merle Haggard, but I got one more here on the list, which this is not all, but George Strait.
The man.
The man, yes. So tell us a bit about just writing for him And then you're going to play a song for us.
I am. It's a great thing about him, Jason, because I tell this story all the time in shows. My cousins, I'd call home and I would tell them, because they all want me to come home, marry some rancher. And I was like, no, I'm going to be a star. And they were like, you can't do it. And I'd call home and I'd say, I just got 2 cuts on Joe Diffie, and then I got a Patty Levis, and I'm had this radio. And they're like, got a George Strait cut? I'd be like, no. Like, call us back when you got George Strait. They'd hang up. And I was like, oh my gosh. This goes on for years. And so finally I got to call home one day and they go, got George Strait cut? I just got 3. And they're like,
3.
okay, you can stay. I was like, thank goodness. I'd been up here already like 15 years. But thank the Lord he started cutting my songs or I wouldn't be able to ever retire in Texas. So there you go.
Well, how about you play us one today?
I'd love to.
One of the more famous here recently, I guess, the Troubadour. So
this song has been a huge blessing to me and literally to a lot of other people. I get so many comments. Sorry about the banging around.
That's all right.
So many comments about this song. People say, and it means something to them, and I'll say, "Oh, are you a musician? You a singer?" No. It means something to me. I just love it. I'm like, okay, good. George does it every night. God bless him. So,
wow.
His producer, I went in to play songs for Brooks and Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Brown was producing them, and he didn't like the song for him. And he goes, "Go write me something for George." And I went, "Oh yes, I will."
Yes, sir.
I was writing the next day with Monty Holmes, a guy who's a fellow Texan and already had some cuts on George. And he said, "Well, what do they want?" And I said, "Well, everybody thinks George is retiring, but he's not." This was 2007, before he retired the first time. And I said, "He's still young, still out there doing it." He said, "Well, what would we say?" And so I just started from the top down like I always do. Had no idea what the title was going to be or anything. I spit out the first couple of lines. Monty jumped right in. We had this song about 15 minutes. Thank the Lord. I still feel 25 most of the time. I still raise a little Cain with the boys. Honky tonks on city limits. Man, I'm still right there in 'em, singing above the crowd and the noise. Sometimes I feel like Jesse James, still trying to make a name, knowing nothing's gonna change what I am. I was a young troubadour when I wrote in on a song. I'll be an old troubadour when I'm gone. Well, the truth about a mirror is a dang old mirror. No, it never really tells the whole truth. It don't show what's deep inside. It don't read between the lines. And it's really no reflection of my youth. And sometimes I feel like Jesse James, still trying to make a name, knowing nothing's gonna change what I am. I was a young troubadour when I wrote in on a song. I'll be an old troubadour when I'm gone. I was a young troubadour when I wrote in on a song. I'll be an old troubadour when I'm gone.
Awesome. Beautiful.
Man, yeah.
Thank you so much.
It's cool to hear it come from the songwriter
Oh,
too.
yeah,
Hearing
yeah.
your version
Thank
and
you so much.
your style there. I love it.
Thank you.
So when you start writing this song and it just kind of comes to you,
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing that you got, it just, I don't know, songwriting is just cool to me how it just kind of happens and
Well-
you sit down with these guys or gals and you start writing and it just blossoms,
Yeah, yeah.
I believe the good they come from God to me. The good ones, the bad ones come straight from me, but the good ones come from God, and that came from God so quickly, and it doesn't take very long. You don't have to labor over
Right,
them very long. But
right.
if you have to, beat around on them all day long, trying to shape them and this and that, it's like, nope, I just get rid of them.
Yeah.
If they come around about an hour and a half, something like that, that's a good song. So
Well,
I like the alternate tuning you use too.
Yes, it's a Celtic
Leslie.
tuning. It's
Yeah.
called Dadgad. And Patty Lovelace's husband, Emery Gordy Jr., who played bass for Elvis, taught me that tuning. And I was writing with him one day, and he's kind of a quiet man. I said, "How do you get your guitar to sound like that?" He taught me, and I never looked back.
Oh,
So,
nice. Yeah, I noticed you use that. Yeah.
yeah, it's sort of a signature thing because I never tune my guitars out of it. I keep them all in that.
And it just fits your vocal, that key, that particular key.
Well,
So
it
that's
helps
cool.
me be a bass man at the same time as I'm playing. I'm a one-man band with it, so that works out good. My husband says, "You're playing a bass run on all them songs." I went, "That's okay."
That's all right. Well, how did it feel? And we can talk more about some of these other songs, but how did it feel to get your first big hit? What was that like?
Well, it was a huge deal. It was Pam Tillis, and it went to, it was late, it was a real early 90s, like 92, something like that, 94. And it went to like number 8 or something like that. And she sent me a pot plant. It was it was just like, oh my gosh, it was a huge deal. You start hearing your stuff on the radio. That's a big deal. What's even bigger is when a check comes to your house that has more money in it than any house anyone in your family has ever owned.
Wow.
And you're like, we just laid it on the table. My grandmother and mother had moved up here by then, and my sister was with us. So the four of us just sat there and looked at it like, what do we do with that? We paid off all the bills we'd been,
Yeah.
saving up.
Yeah, everybody got paid off in one day. We were debt free
man.
for a couple months there.
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
What was the song?
I said a prayer for you.
Oh, okay.
Pam
All
Tillis.
right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, did you want to ask about the Keb Mo?
Oh, yeah. I got to hear the story about Keb Mo.
Well, Keb Mo, he came along with a friend of mine, a guy named Big Al Anderson, who's a blues guitarist. Many years we've been writing songs together, and he was writing with Keb, and he said, "We're gonna come write with me and Keb Mo." And Big Al's from Connecticut, and he's a soul man. You wouldn't think it, but he's killer. And I was like, "Are you sure?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Here we go." So we sat down at Sony, where I was writing at the time, and Kevin is great, and he's a very soulful person too. And he goes, "What do you want to write about, little girl?" And I was like, "Well, how about this?" And we started just talking about preaching and different types of, preachers and stuff like that, and how some used car salesman preaches and a preacher preaches, and there's all different kinds of preaching, right? So we started talking about that, and he just loved it. We fell right in lockstep, and we wrote 2 or 3 songs together.
Neat.
Then he recorded that one and a couple of others, but that one was with the record that he did with Taj Mahal, which was kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Big
Yeah.
deal. So.
Well, he as an artist, I've always just really liked him because of his attitude.
Oh, he's wonderful.
You can tell he comes from a very positive
Yep.
side of life.
Yep.
I've always been drawn to that, and
Yeah.
so that's cool to hear that story.
He literally when we were writing that week, it was not too long after the Nashville flood. He moved here the day before the flood and put
Okay.
all his guitars in storage that flooded the next day.
Oh, my.
So the poor guy took all that in stride and just didn't give up on Nashville. He just got some more guitars, and he's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Well, and I'm going to jump out here. You may have already touched on it because we just played a George Strait tune, but what's your favorite song that you've wrote, and the artist that cut it?
Troubadour it runs neck and neck now with I've always said that my favorite song I've ever written was "You Remain" that I wrote for Willie Nelson, and we wrote it for Willie Nelson. He recorded it. It's been recorded by other artists, but it was for Willie, and he was just amazing on it. And then he called in Bonnie Raitt to sing harmony. So that was like a really good day in my book because I'm a huge Bonnie Raitt fan as well. So, but coming from Texas, and when I was just a little kid, the first record that I really was mesmerized by, my cousins had gotten one summer, and they were playing albums, and so I must have been about 10, and they said, listen to this record. And I go, who is that? And they go, it's this guy, Willie Nelson. And I go, okay. And they said, it's called Redheaded Stranger. And I was like, all right. And I sat down to listen to it. All the kids went outside, and I stayed and listened to that record about 50 times.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now, imagine, then I go on to be a songwriter, go on to be, to meet Willie. He records a song we wrote for him. And then this year, earlier in the year, they inducted me into the Texas Songwriter Hall of Fame. And you get a Willie Nelson statue, a bronze statue of Willie Nelson. It's so full circle. You're just like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So
That is amazing.
yeah, he's a great guy, Willie. So great.
Well, that kind of leads to my next thought. I mean, are these artists approachable? Do you become friends with these artists that you've written for?
Most of them you do if you get to meet them. They're wonderful people. I haven't met anyone where I just went, I wish I didn't know that guy. I mean, there's a lot of them that are very, private, and they're not as
open
grab you by the neck as Blake Shelton is.
Yeah.
But not as open, or they're so busy they don't have a lot of time to be chumming around. But some of them become like family. My husband and I met on the road. He was out with Neil McCoy from Texas, big star, and Neil is like he's like a cousin to us. He's just amazing, and he's the best of it. He invents. It's the same way. I've been doing a lot of writing and have new album that's come out with Trisha Yearwood. It's coming out like next week. Her new album.
Oh wow!
I have 7 songs on it, and she's been like a first cousin to me.
Nice.
She's been precious. And Garth is precious. They're good guys. Actually, the bigger they are, the nicer they are, and that's the truth.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good to hear. I've ran into a few artists here and there. When Don and I are playing, we've come across a few, and I'm always hesitant at approaching them. I don't want to bother them. They get approached all the time.
Right.
But it's cool to hear that they're open and
well, there's a wonderful thing here in Tennessee about Tennesseans who have grown up around all these people, Opry stars and people that are living legends, Loretta Lynn, all these people. Tennesseans are so respectful, and they're like, hello, or they might say, I love your stuff, or or these are good tomatoes at the store, whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So when people that come in from out of state, when they say, can you talk to me? We go, yes, but just be respectful. Like, don't stick something to be signed in front of their mouth while they're about to take a bite. Let's be respectful.
Yeah.
And most Tennesseans are that's why they love living here, because it's so embracing.
Well, one quick story. One time I was shopping at Kroger and I crossed paths with Daryl Singletary. Shopping in Kroger.
He was a country boy and a good friend. He's just a country boy, and he's such a good guy. And if you said hello to Daryl and said, can I tell you how much your music means to me? The next thing you know, you'd be like fishing down on the river at Savannah with him. He's just a good guy.
Yeah. So things like that, it's awesome.
He did so much great stuff for our foundation over the years.
Yeah.
Playing
he's wonderful.
concerts.
He's a huge supporter.
Yep.
He's missed for sure. So let's dive into one other question around music, and we got to get into fishing or something, because it's an outdoor show, right?
We got to talk about fishing.
So, not to toot your own horn, but you got some awards, and then I wanted to touch on the electric honey badgers. You got to tell me what this is all about.
Well, my husband actually named that band. We recorded live in Muscle Shoals a couple years back, and I'm predominantly a blues country stuff is my own personal style.
Okay, yeah.
And I was writing with a guy who's from that area, and he said, let's go down to Muscle Shoals and record these demos, quote unquote. So we did a whole day, and there were 5 songs, and he goes, that sounds like the start of an album. And I went, yes, it does. And he said, let's come back tomorrow and record some more, or next week or whatever. And I said, okay. So we did, and at the end he goes, that's 10 demos, sounds like an album. And I said, yeah, well, one of the guys was just so wired up because they were having so much fun. We cut the whole thing live. I sang the whole thing live while they kept all my vocals while we were recording. And then they brought the Shoals sisters in, who sang on a lot of those projects there. David Hood, who played with the Swampers, played bass on this project. So it was a big deal. And my husband said, you're just keyed up to this guitar player. And he goes, I'm electric. And he goes, you're like an electric honey badger. And they were like, yay! Band name. So that's how band names are born. I'm sure y'all know.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and to record in Muscle Shoals, that's it's kind of like recording in Nashville,
Oh, yeah.
We recorded at the Nut House, which is owned by Jimmy Nutt, and Jimmy has done a lot of the work with the Steel Drivers. Their Grammys albums started there at the Nut House, so that's where we recorded. It's just down the road from the other very famous, Rick Hall's place, the Fame. So
yeah, that's awesome. Well, so let's jump into another song, and this one's fishing related.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
And then we'll dive into some fishing conversation.
This is my mother's, of the hundreds of thousands of songs I've written, my mother starts requesting this at shows. Do the catfish song. Do the catfish song.
So this is an oldie but goodie, I guess.
Yes.
It's been around a little while.
Have you all? No, it's brand new.
Oh, it's brand new. Okay.
Last summer. I just wrote it last summer. My friend Allen Shamblin, who's a Hall of Fame songwriter, wrote, I Can't Make You Love Me, House That Built Me, Miranda Lambert. He's fabulous. He's also a Texan. When we do shows together, he has a song about a frog that he does that's amazing. And so I was sitting on the back porch of our little fishing cabin down in Texas last summer, and I was thinking, I'm gonna write a song to go along in the show right behind Alan's frog song.
Perfect.
And I didn't tell him about it. We played down at Fox and Lock and Leapers Fork a couple weeks back. He did the frog song, brought the house down. I was just sitting there calmly. I said, I tell you what, Alan. I said, I've got a song for you. He said, oh, you do? I said, yes. To answer the frog. Well, I'm just a mudcat, laid up in the shade. The cool, cool waters, deepest part of Elwood Lake. And the brim and the bass, they swim by and say, look at that. That old lazy daisy's gonna sleep all day long. I say, no, I'm not. I'm making up a catfish song. Oh, 'cause catfish, man, they need love too. Well, the catfish, you know our feelings, well, they're bruised. 'Cause the chat is, we're a trashy crew. Oh, but catfish, man, we need love too. Well, I'm just a mudcat. Let me tell you about my brother Jake. He took a big bite at a treble hook full of stink bait. When the pliers pried him off, they just chucked him off in the woods. Everybody knows he was born for tartar sauce. Now he's just a second verse in a pretty little catfish song. Oh, but catfish, all we need love to. Catfish, man, our feelings, they're daggum bruised. 'Cause the chat is, we are a trashy crew. But catfish, catfish, we need love too. Well, I'm just a mudcat. Let me tell you about my last blind date with the perch that had the nerve to swim in late. He just sucked in both his lips when he finally floated in. He said, girl, you got some whiskers going on. I won't tell you what I did to him in a catfish song. Oh, 'cause catfish, we need love too. Well, I'm just a mudcat. Oh, but I'm laid up in the shade, deepest part of pretty little Elwood Lake.
All right.
Yeah.
A Mudcat song.
Oh, I love it.
Mudcats need love too.
That's great. I bet the reaction to that song, you know, in a live setting is pretty cool.
It was good,
you know.
especially after Allen's songs about frogs which are friggin' great, is what he says.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank
Well, you're no stranger to the outdoors either.
No.
You know, this is an outdoor show, so here we are in the outdoor segment, I guess. You love to fish, right?
I do. My husband taught me to fish. My grandparents, my grandfather was a cowboy. He was a cotton farmer back in Northeast Texas, and so really wasn't a fisherman. There was just a little cow pond, you know. But I did see once when I was a kid, we went out to feed the cows, and somebody had put some oil on the top of that little cow pond, and some catfish that he and my great uncle had been trying to catch for years was floating belly up on that thing.
No.
That's when a cowboy nearly cries.
Oh,
That's when I knew how important fishing is. I was like, hey, this isn't good. And so I didn't really ever learn to fish, but when I married my husband, he grew up around a little lake in Northeast Texas, and so we inherited a little cabin there. And he said, you need to learn to bass fish. And I was like, I can't fish. I don't know how to fish. So he gave me a little Zebco 33.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, all right, I guess see if I'll do this. When I caught my first largemouth bass and fought that sucker for about 15 minutes, I was like, "Whoa." I was like, this is the life. And so now I've got 3 or 4 rods, and I got my own tackle box.
That's
and I
how
got a
you
bunch
get
of
your
stuff in it.
cardio, isn't it?
It is. I've got all this stuff. I'm like, I see all you men. I see what you do. You have all these, different baits and this and that. And he has all the stuff. His tackle box is giant. Mine's just a little, flip plastic top one. But if you give me a beetle spin in half an afternoon, you're going to get yourself a little largemouth bass. I'm just saying.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. So, we always talk about recruit, retain, reactivate. So
Yeah.
you were recruited at a later age, which is great. I mean, that's, not everybody starts out young, fishing when they're a kid or
Yeah.
whatever.
No.
But yeah, it's great that you got into it and I think it's just
the,
awesome.
The guys down there, their kids are growing up on that lake, and so they can fish from the time they're like 3 or 4. It's nothing to them. They can fish and fish and fish. But I learned later. But I'll tell you one thing: the appreciation of it, and just the day out on that it's a little 24-acre lake, it's a little private kind of a club lake thing, So there's not a lot of people around, and you can just sit there in the afternoon. You can think about it. You can fish. You can pray when the fish aren't biting, and that whole saying about there's no bad day fishing, even if you don't catch one.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
Exactly.
Because our neighbor has a little cabin down there. He has this great old dog, and I'll sit there, and that dog comes sit down by me. We'll just sit there and watch the water together, have a great time.
That's awesome. I love it. So, and I think when you came by earlier before the show, we were chatting. You've caught some bigger fish than your husband, right? Or more fish?
No. He catches the biggest fish. Just on our last fishing trip, there for some reason you boys like to keep score. He was keeping score.
Bigger as it goes.
And, I learned this whole phrase, "You're skunking me today." I didn't know what that meant, but I was like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." But I'd stayed out there longer than him. I got up earlier, so I was like, I'm watching this. We have this little clock that has a little fishing man on it that tells you if it's fish or biting or not. Came from Bass Pro years ago. And if he's got on short pants, it's a good day to go out and fish. If he's holding up a fish, you should fish. Whatever. Or if he's got his raincoat on, don't go out. So I looked over there at that guy, and he said it was good fishing, so I got out early.
Cool.
But he and his best friend Tony, they catch the big 8-pound catfish and the 5 and 6 pound bass. I just catch it like a little 2-pounder, and but I take a picture of every one.
Oh yeah.
I document those bad boys.
Definitely.
And then I tell them right before I release them, Jason, don't bite hooks.
You know better than that.
Give
I
that
get them back to the
warning.
lake. Don't bite hooks.
Oh man.
This has been awesome. I appreciate you coming by and
you so
joining
much.
us today and playing a few songs and sharing some stories. It's just been a good time.
Hey, I did want to tell you one thing.
Yes.
I fished a little tributary of the Harpeth here. My friend has a place up at Leaper's Fork, and we fished all day. And David, my husband, he caught a little smallmouth bass. I think it was. I just caught this one tiny little fish, and I drug it over to him. I go, "What is this?" It just bit my hook. Teeny little brown trout fingerling that I had just seen you guys had released up in the mountains, and I watched it on TV on Tennessee Crossroads when it happened, and I caught one of them.
Awesome. Yeah.
I put him back too. He lives in the Harpeth, hopefully.
Yeah. Hey, there's some great fishing all across the state.
Yeah,
and
there is.
We got it all here in Tennessee.
we've said it before, from Mountain City to Memphis, we have it all. So it's a great little state to live in and get outdoors in. And thanks for sharing your stories with us today.
Thank you for
Leslie.
having me. It's such a pleasure.
Thanks, Leslie.
Appreciate what you guys do. We really do.
Thank you. Well, this has been great. Thank you all for watching, for listening, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Tennessee WildCast.
Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org. And follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram. You can invest in Tennessee's wildlife future by purchasing a license at GoOutdoorsTennessee.com. That's GoOutdoorsTennessee.com.